It may get bigger, it may get a little bigger, it may not get bigger at all. We'll see what happens. But regardless of what happens, we're totally prepared.
It has been the honor of my life to serve you. I won't stop. In fact, I will be right there with you as a citizen.
Was an ex-commando. He killed 16 Chechen rebels single-handed.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, nice, huh? He was with the Interior Ministry. Guy, some kind of Russian Green Beret. This guy cannot come back to tell this story. You understand?
I hear you.
There he is, Paulie.
Huh?
Call me back.
You're not gonna believe this. He killed 16 Czechoslovakians. Guy was an interior decorator.
His house looked like shit.
Are you ready?
Well, welcome to another edition of Monday Morning Middle of the Road. I'm Coach Casey, and this way is TJ. What's up, buddy?
What's up? Coming live from Farmington, New Mexico.
New Mexico, via the internet, via Zoom.
Yeah.
It looks like we're sitting next to each other for those watching on video. The people listening are going to clearly tell we're not sitting next to each other because until we get this all dialed in, we're going to sound a little different. What's going on today, buddy?
Not a lot. Just got my first day off this week. Got to go back to work tomorrow. I'm super excited about it.
Well, let's be honest. If we talk about what you do at work, we recorded a 40-minute show yesterday while you were at work, and seemed to, no problem. They seem to, in that 40 minutes, be fine without you. But I'm glad you got a day to not be.
I was supervising.
Okay, that's true. I was gonna say, I'm glad you got a day to not be on call or on duty where you're having to keep track of the kids.
It's so hot here. It's different than our Kansas heat, that's for sure.
You can say that all you want. It's 102 and humid here. I walked outside, and if you can see my cheeks in the thing, I read it up, man. I read it up. So it's hot no matter what. When it's 112 or 115 or 102 or 97, it's hot. So we're both
hot
from hot parts of the country. He's closer to the border situation going on. That's in the news, every day. I'm closer to the part of the country that is relying on the people that are not getting through, or whatever that is. But now they're not because they're busing them to New York or, Washington where they don't need them. So,
yeah.
So Monday morning, middle of the roads podcast. For everybody, I think, or to try to, I don't even know if it's for everybody. It's a podcast that's dedicated to bring, people back together. And every week we're going to get together and talk about different topics. We're going to do some news, some games. If there's a hot button subject, that's what the show is going to be about. This week's sponsor, longtime friend of the show. I've known this company for a long time, so they're helping us as we're getting going. Hawk Hauling. Ship quick ship. They will haul your load. So we're going to start off today with a little bit of news. TJ had a couple stories brought up yesterday. I think if you downloaded the show or listened to us on the YouTubes, you got to hear plenty about us. So we'll kind of skip over that for now. And what do you got to start us off with today, buddy?
So I got the story for us about a wedding in China. This is from 2019, but it's been making the rounds around TikTok. I'm super hip, kind of like you,
Yeah, you're hip and up with it.
With 2019. I did win our game the other day on our other show of hip terms for kids. Remember that? Like, what was some of our favorite ones?
Oh, I have
that we had
cards
from
right
that
over
day
here.
that your daughter gave us.
We had some receipts. We had beat my face, cake,
cake, yes, yep,
flipping chickens. We had all kinds of stuff on that. So
I mean,
you don't dance
even
like
though
me or make fucking shorts like me, but that's cool.
No, even though I'm 40 and you're barely 40 for much longer,
I'm 40.
We are hip.
All right.
so here's my news. So footage going around on TikTok is of a groom exposing his bride's affair on their wedding day by playing the X-rated video of her in bed with another man, has left the internet in shock. Guests of the newlyweds in China can be seen looking on in horror as a steamy bedroom scene featuring the bride and her new husband's brother-in-law plays out on the projector of the couple's reception. This disgraced woman then throws a bouquet at her husband as she can be heard shouting, "Did you think I didn't know about this?" Come to make things worse, it wasn't only her brother-in-law.
So the bride was cheating, or he was
her
cheating?
sister was also pregnant at the time. While the bride was cheating with her brother-in-law, which would be her sister's husband,
Okay.
while her sister was pregnant.
So is
So
that
they go, the guy,
did you
her
see the
current
video?
husband. Yes, I did see the video. Well, they like cut it off really quick, and then she goes to attacking him and all
Did you
the
see the
groomsmen.
exposed video where like she was making out with the guy?
No, they were like actually like having sex. He like put it up on the screen behind him, like when they were like announcing him at the wedding.
Well, then that
Like, so
must
they-
be different
the
one
hus-
than I've seen.
the-
Okay.
The guy goes through with marrying her, and then in the reception does this. So I don't think they lasted.
Well, I don't know. I
That's
mean,
some dedication.
that's a good first test for a marriage. You know, I'm going to be honest. If they make it through this, they're going to make it through anything. You know.
I don't think he's going to continue with the marriage. I think that was the whole point, to humiliate her, and
But
looks like he won.
Why wouldn't you not do that when you're doing your vows or something? I guess you don't have a screen to do it there. Is that why you knew in the reception you were going to have the screen behind you? So you
Yeah, I think so. So it was like a movie theater type screen, and they're all standing there in front of it, and they're saying like how much they love each other. I couldn't understand it because it was in Chinese. So, but yeah, he got her good.
for your Chinese. That's awesome. There was a story I had read out of or heard or whatever not that many years ago where a guy had divorced his wife because they had 2 kids and they were butt ugly, and he'd come to find out she had had like multiple hundreds of plastic surgeries to even look as attractive as she was, which wasn't. And
So she was a lot uglier beforehand.
yeah, and he sued her and he won because it was like character false, or whatever, something like
Yeah.
that. So interesting. I guess you never know. Be careful who you marry, and be careful. I just seen one the other day too. It was a chick making out with a guy, and I thought it was like a movie theater or something. And the best man, this is like the night before the wedding. He's videoing her. He's like, "Hey, whatever. What are you doing? That's not your, future husband or your whatever your fiance or whatever."
Oh, busting
like,
her, huh?
Yeah, and she's like, "No," and he's like, "Oh shit, that's the bartender," And it's like from the bar they're at the night before the wedding, or it's like that's crazy, man. That's rough, man. What do you. I guess if you love them, I don't know. I mean, that's I think that's a awesome first test for your marriage is, can you survive?
Oh, I don't think he was intending to go any further with it. It was like all part of his revenge. Like in the movie Stand By Me, you've seen that, correct?
Do you think after he was done, he was like,
Burn.
Yeah, he's like, "Got you, bitch. Get out of here." It's just like, what's the kid's name on Stand By Me that everybody calls him lard ass, and he goes to the pie eating contest and he drinks the syrup stuff to make him throw up, and he pukes and gets everybody throwing up at the. Yeah, that was that guy's story. He's the same thing.
Well, got him. I mean,
He got him.
yeah. I still, I guess it just seems expensive. Maybe he had the money.
That's what
or her family was paying for it.
Yeah, her dad was paying for it.
Well,
that's what everybody said. That's an expensive way to go ahead and go through the marriage, but he got her though. She burned him, so he burned her, man.
I wonder if you could probably get that annulled pretty quick.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in America, and speaking from personal experience, you have like 1 year to annul a marriage in Kansas. I know that. I don't know if it's that way in China.
Well, that man deserves a round of applause.
Yeah,
That's a good
good for him.
Good way to get her. I don't know. Don't cheat. Before at least. Wait till you don't have a prenup, and if you cheat, then you'll still get something out of it, I guess.
Yep.
in local news, we just talked about it on our last regular show. The vote no, vote yes. We thought it was going to go away, but in Kansas, that nothing goes away, and in the new world, nothing goes away. So it sounds like that they're not going to let this go through. There's a group pledging, or it says they'll pay to hand recount all the votes. They think that there was voter fraud. But
isn't it like more than 10 or 20% difference?
It's because it was, essentially 60-40. It wasn't quite that, but it was pretty close to that. It was 50,
17 or 18.
Yeah, it was a large that if it was that much voter fraud, we're in way bigger troubles than I think anybody thinks. And the fact that every vote that's going to happen, if you don't like it, is going. And right now it has just been more from the other side. Even like the fact that there's still people running on the voter fraud, and even in Republican-ran states, there's been Republican-led recounts that said if there is, it was the best fraud we've ever seen because we can't find nothing. So I don't know. I think I knew it was going to be a close vote, but I just again wasted. I would say a waste of taxpayer money, but it's not. It's just going to be taxpayer time, because even if it's
somebody's
funded,
paying for it.
Well, yeah, even if it's funded, these people are still going to have to. It's just a waste of time. So, and then there was the only other thing, since we've done a show, and we obviously ought to talk about it. I don't know if you have anything brought up on it, but the Trump Mar-a-Lago was raided. I've read just a ton of different things.
So what are they looking for?
Basically, what it comes down to, from everything I've read, is he admitted to taking multiple documents from the White House when he left, and that is illegal.
But isn't there like a time limit? Like he has to have it. He's allowed to take stuff, but he has to have it back by a certain time, and maybe it's exceeded it or something.
Certain things he took, he was never even allowed to. There are some things that do fall into that, and that's where he's saying he didn't know on certain things. But there's one. They've been negotiating for a long time. It's been very clear what he needed to do, and I think whether it was right, wrong, or whatever. It probably was wrong. I think it just, in everything he does it his fucking way. And
yeah, he's definitely no one's gonna tell him what to do.
Yeah, I'm not gonna release
in his opinion.
But it's even at the same time this is going on. This isn't a FBI led one, but New York, I get it. It's liberal too, but they're raiding, finally going after his business tax stuff that he won't turn over and that's been falsified. And it's just like, if you're this legit business dude, just let your but no other president. And maybe it is, I'm starting to either I'm getting on your guys' side and saying they are just picking on the dude and this is fucking retarded, because I've never seen no other president in history go through in my time, Nixon was the closest, go through anything like this, but no other president in history has. I don't know that there was ever a story about Obama taking 15 boxes of White House documents out. I don't know if there was ever a story, and maybe he did, and because, that's just what I don't know. I guess the fact that, and then there's all these, people that were in his circle also. Basically, the reason why it became more prominent is saying that he was known for flushing documents, or he hated the fact that he had to record, what he was doing as president and stuff. So that's the gist of it. I don't think anything's really going to come of it unless it's proven that some of the documents had some pretty sensitive stuff on it that I don't think is stuff they would expect you would ever leave the White House.
Yeah.
So I think that's
honestly, I just hope that it's going to be so much better for everybody if we as Republicans can find somebody else to run for president in 2024, because even though I'd like for him to be there, it's just going to make things, like we've talked about before, everybody just so up in arms. Like, it's just going to make shit worse.
Oh yeah.
It's just going to go back to the way it was, but worse, because everybody's still their panties bunched up about it. I don't want to hear.
I guess if he came back in and like followed at least 4 or 5 basic norms and just,
but it don't matter. Just the fact with him even saying I'm gonna run, people are gonna lose their shit.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think
it's not worth it.
It's already. He's had been running a campaign since he lost. I mean, I think the fact there's no, to me, zero question of whether he's running or not. It's the only thing that would, if there's somebody that can pay him enough money to not run. But other
Yeah.
than that, there's
He
zero.
just gotta.
And this stuff that they're
He's got to
doing,
run with somebody. Let's go.
who would run with him? Who in the Republican Party would want to be associate with him right now, besides maybe DeSantos?
Yeah, that'd be the only thing is
And
they.
they're going to run against him.
I think
He's going to tear DeSantos down so bad. He's your guy's next best hope. And if the Trump track record holds true, by the end of this election, DeSantos will be a washed up, piece of himself that's going to be start down at the bottom like Cruz and Rubio and all those guys and have to earn their way back up instead of, what they've already earned, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think the main reason that, what they're doing is looking to get him on some kind of charges where he can't run again. So we'll see.
That's my prayer of this is, and I think that's why even there was apparently some Republicans that had to sign off on some of the stuff that's going on, even on the January 6th stuff. They're not publicly saying it, but behind doors, I think they don't want to deal with it either. They just want to fucking legislate, or try. And with him in there,
Speaking of that, I saw on TikTok this morning there was a little clip of Bernie talking, and he was saying about how only it was 18% of the nation has any faith in Congress. It approves of what they're doing, and 82% of the nation disapproves and has zero faith in what Congress does for us and distrusts the government. And I was like, damn.
That? But that's that's the one, they've earned that. But two, it's also scary that we are in that time that people that we elected there, we fucking hate with a passion.
Yeah.
Either one person on, right now we don't have, I guess Bernie would be the most volatile of the Democratic side as far as fighting his own base. But, Trump has, reshaped how politics is done. Obama kind of did in a sense because he split the Democrats early on, I guess, because the true ones were behind Hillary and fought against him. But they're just, I've never seen nothing like this, man.
He was saying that even people are up in arms, wanting to raise up arms against him. So basically what he was getting at was that there needs to be more than a two-party system, which I agree too. So
100%. But the scary thing is you look in some of these countries that do have, the 3 and 4 party system is that 15 or 20% wins a vote sometimes, or 30% wins a vote. And that's really, really scary when like 26 angry percent can decide how a vote goes, because even left or right, I mean, to me, let's just say that. So if we split up and the 4 parties become, what they've basically already became, we just haven't done it yet. The extreme right, Republican, Democrat, and extreme left, okay? We can call the extreme right and the extreme left what you want. But right now, the extreme right or the extreme left are going to win everything that's going on. Because the only other thing you have as an option is that the me and the you, the middle of the road, somehow come together, don't get pulled one way or the other, and come together. Because they started to try to do that kind of even to the left with us with, like I love Bernie, but some of the shit he was pushing, like I would have rather him won, because I think even right now he's still more just a pimp talker, a fucking, he's good at what he's doing, and I don't think some of the shit he wanted to do could have got pushed through.
He's Larry David, man.
Fuck yeah, he is. But he's still crazy and old and all that. But he's the guy that would be the extreme left candidate right now until AOC gets her chance to run, and then you'd have a Biden or a Buttigieg or something like that running, and then you'd have I don't even know who the the middle of the road Republican is right now that would be your big ticket draw. Jeb Bush, and then you'd have Trump or
DeSantos,
because if DeSantos
Cruz
were trying to run as a regular Republican, he would almost get shredded for it. He almost has to be as aggressive as he's been and anti-liberal instead of just being a Republican and preaching your values, and and like having a Democrat that could just be a Democrat and preach their values, not the extremism that it's become on, again, both sides. I don't want to completely cut off the border, but I want to completely open up the border. We've known for hundreds and hundreds of years there's a border situation, but we've known for thousands of years that we've needed the immigrants that come because they do our migrant work and they provide extreme value to our country for our military, for our technology, for our whatever, for
Well, I
healthcare.
work with guys that come from Mexico every day.
Yeah.
Out here, and a lot of those guys are all, trying to do it the right way, whether or not they did it right the first time or not.
Don't do it the right way,
and
most of the time.
and they hate it because they've went through the troubles to do it. And even those guys are in agreement with that. Like, I should probably start getting interviews with some of these guys. I talked to a guy today that told me that his mom was born here, and then they have dual citizenships because their mom was technically an American. So a lot of guys that I talk to, I get their story. I'm like, well, when'd you come here? How'd you get here? Type shit, and they'll tell you the truth on it.
Those are the ones that I'm all for. They're here on either work visas
and they're here to work.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. I would say probably 85% that come over are here to work. I mean, they're here for a chance. The people that will risk their lives, that will, and that's where it's hard for me. I know there's bad people coming over in that, but there's bad people doing everything. But it's so hard for me to hate people that are dragging their family through what they're going through, doing what they're doing just for a fucking chance, because wherever they're at is so bad that they're willing to risk what they know is waiting for them at the border, good, bad, or other. They're willing to risk. I can't imagine that. And that's where the pussy Democrat in me, or whatever that is, comes out, the compassion or the whatever, because I would do anything for my family if I was in a similar situation. I would try to make the best of what I had, but I would do anything. So that's where, even in all of these things, that probably what right there defines me as, I guess, a Democrat is, or my stance of why I think I am, is because I put myself in the situation of the worst or the downest people, because I haven't quite been there, but I came from, different times, and me being white or me being whatever maybe helped me, but I've worked my ass off. But if I came from a shithole like Guatemala, where my population of my town was whatever, and there was a drug lord that took it over, and I either worked for him or, I don't know. That's what I don't know. So
Yeah.
I pray. I'm so fortunate to be an American that I don't have to go through any of that, and I would never have to. But if it wasn't for America and how America was and was developed in the country we were, none of us would be here. I was an Irish immigrant. You were a, I don't know what, Indian, Mexican, whatever you are,
If I could cut you through the screen, I would. No. Curry is Irish.
I know.
And I'm Irish and German.
I'm Scottish. I don't know why I said Irish. I think it's because the other guys. My family's.
You think you're Drew McIntyre?
Well, so technically that is my last name. We were born McIntyres. My grandpa was adopted, and our family is from part of Kansas, and they are McIntyre. And so my mom, she was a Talbot, and that's like French, German, something.
A what?
Talbot.
Talbot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sound like you're saying something else.
No, not Talhead. Talbot.
Yeah.
Dorothy Talbot,
Okay.
So
I see.
All right. So that's about us. So do you have any more news? I know you had a couple games, but you said you had another news story for us too.
I do have another news for you. It's kind of a shitty story. This was on local cake news, but it wasn't right here. A woman was killed on past Wednesday, after being struck by a beach umbrella that was being blown in the wind in an unincorporated area of Horry County. I almost said Horny County. That's kind of a weird name. Well, I guess like Robert Horry, right?
Birthday. We've talked about it since. Robert Horry County, yes.
Robert Horry County. Tammy Pirlet, 63, was struck by the umbrella while at a beach access, according to Horry County Emergency Management. According to the report, a witness said an umbrella from the Sea Watch Hotel had been blown from the ground into the air. The umbrella tumbled end over end and down the beach until it struck the victim on her left side of the upper torso. Pirulette was transferred to hospital where she was pronounced dead. Horry County coroner told the reporters that Pirulette's death was caused by chest trauma by the umbrella shaft. He said the victim died on the way to the hospital.
Girl. That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, it's kind of shitty.
Like I said, like it's kind of goes up there with like the ice falling off a building and hitting you and killing you, or
just wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, like I don't know how either you're like God wants you if all that.
Yeah, he was just like it's
ready for
it's time,
or like you.
And he's like
some bad stuff, and this.
He's like, what do I got to work with today? This chick needs to go. That umbrella, yeah, let's get it going.
Well, that's why I said there's a car driving.
I can sympathize.
We could give her a massive coronary. She could, peacefully go in her sleep, or we could pale her with an umbrella.
Yep,
we'll go with that.
I can sympathize with that. This week I was sitting there. I had put a tent up at work, like one of those, it's like a regular tent, not like with an awning tent that you can get under. There's no wind at all. I don't have this thing staked down. I'm sitting there talking to our safety guy, and I look over and my tent is 20 feet up in the air. I was like, oh, there goes my tent, brand new tent. And it goes up 20 feet in the air and blows probably 50 feet in the air and then starts tumbling and broke one of the legs off of it. So,
man,
I can sympathize with Miss Pirulette. R.I.P.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I guess you understand how wind can make some crazy stuff happen, but in your case, it's your family's not there. You're having a story to tell your family. Her story is going to have a family to tell everybody. So,
well, I mean, somebody owes me $80. That's all I'm saying.
Well, hopefully it wasn't your tent that hit that lady. What
I wasn't in Robert Horry County. I was in somewhere else.
I was also in Horry County, and
coincidentally, it was my tent.
All right.
I do have a quote for you here today.
Okay.
And I'd like for you to tell me who you think this is.
Okay.
My biggest regret in my career doesn't involve calling my GM a cracker or showing up to Raiders camp late in a hot air balloon with frozen feet or throwing rocks at that UPS driver. And it definitely doesn't involve taking my shirt off and doing a victory lap around the Jets stadium mid-game while throwing up deuces.
I think I got it.
My biggest regret is that I'll never see me play a game live. Sure, I can watch the game afterwards, but I can't imagine what that was like for you all to see something like that. Like watching something like that. Like watching the Beatles or Jesus perform at Red Rocks.
10-minute countdown.
That's pretty.
That's Antonio Brown with the look at me. We are on the 10-minute countdown. With the Zoom, we're going to be limited to some broadcasts, so we're going to come back and do a second show most likely here in just a little bit. What else you got there, buddy?
I do have another one.
Okay.
Another
I
famous
nailed that
player.
one, so I felt good about that one. Give me another quote here. That one was pretty easy. You could have
that one was. I probably could have stopped right after the UPS thing.
Yeah, or the frozen feet, or the Raiders, or just talking about how he talks about himself in third person. I mean, yeah. Go ahead. What's your other one?
He did say Antonio. He said me, Antonio Brown. So I had to keep that part out. So
yeah, because
people ask me all the time.
Third person.
Yeah. Okay. This person. People ask me all the time and ask if I have any regrets about my career. I tell them the same thing every time. I regret not telling more fans to fuck off while I was playing, so I didn't appear approachable enough in retirement to ask me stupid fucking questions like if I have any regrets about my career. My only regret is that you once had a teacher dumb enough to tell you that you aren't stupid. There's really fucking stupid questions. You're asking me one right now.
I don't know. I'm just the only one that comes to my head is like Romanowski.
You're in the right sport and the right race.
Okay. What era?
Recently retired.
So Urlacher, maybe? God,
no.
Defensive players or quarterback?
He played on the same team, and he's an offensive player.
Oh, Cutler. Yeah, that's a
Yep.
Cutler. Yeah, that's a Cutler.
Yep.
See,
Yep.
I knew that was, yeah, that's a Cutler for sure. Yeah, because he's a guy I both love and hate. Like yeah, I like his on. I'd probably be him if I were a professional athlete. To be 100% with you,
I would be a lot like that. My favorite part of that quote is, "My only regret is that once you had a teacher dumb enough to tell you there aren't stupid questions."
yeah, that's why just the whole part of it. That's how I like when I tear somebody down. I try to do it similar to that, where you point out every stupid thing about, it's not me being mean. It was you being stupid enough to ask.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Well, what else you had? Did you have a game? We're probably down to about 7 minutes. I don't want to do this countdown thing. I don't like it. We'll have to.
Do you
We're
want to?
gonna have to figure something out, but that's okay.
Do you want to go ahead and do one of these, or you want to wait till we come back?
What? Yeah. What do you got?
Okay. So we're gonna do a 60-second timer here. I'm gonna give you. It's similar to the game we did when you shot at the cup, but since we're not together and I can't tell if you're honestly hitting a cup or not, we'll just give you 60 seconds. It's true. So I'll just give you 60. Actually, let's do 30 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to give you, there's up to 10 hints here, and you're going to try to guess. So, first one. So I guess I'll give you what the sport is. It's basketball. Okay.
Okay.
30 seconds on the clock. Here we go.
I'm ready.
He went to college at UTEP. He was the 14th pick in the 1989 draft to the Warriors. Plays point guard.
Mitch Richmond.
Nope.
Okay.
Mitch Richmond went to Kansas
Tim
State.
Hardaway.
He wore. Yep.
I knew that team.
You got that. You got that in 19 seconds. The rest of them were. I'll give you some more stats. He wore numbers 5, 10, and 14. He played for the Warriors, Heat, Mavs, Nuggets, and Pacers for 5 teams. He was a 5-time NBA All-Star. He was a member of the 2000 Olympic team. He had his number 10 retired by the Heat, and his son currently plays in the NBA.
Yeah, I was going to.
So you got that.
Yeah, because his boy played for my Michigan, man.
Yep. I figured once I said his son, I kind of thought the Warriors Heat thing would give it away for you. So.
I liked the Kings, the Sonics, obviously the Bulls back then. So I had a lot of cards of those guys. So I was going to narrow that thing down to a Chris Mullin, a Mitch Richmond, or a Tim Hardaway.
My mom recently, I don't know what she was doing, but was going through the basement and dug out all my cards and gave them back to me. And I got to see, like, I used to keep all my cards in like a binder, where you could flip through the pages. And I was kind of a rare collector. I didn't collect valuable cards. I collected players I liked. Well, my favorite players were John Starks and Sean Kemp. So I had pages and pages of John Starks, and anytime I would trade cards, it was like for a John Starks or a Sean Kemp. I didn't have any Jordans or Shaqs or Kobe's or anything.
You would have been my best. And I would have got all your good cards, and I would have been going around places trading like the worst cards to get the ones you liked, and then coming over and taking your good cards.
Well, I just collected for who I liked.
I did. So I just days like that, but I mean, I was I liked the Bucks in the '90s when they had Glenn Robinson and Vin Baker and some of them. So I have like I got a book there that has like 14 pages. I have every Glenn Robinson card, and total they're worth the exact amount of paper they were printed on.
Yeah. So I gave him, after I had him at the house for a while, I think my nephew Jax was over and I gave them all to him. So he was just looking for the Kobe's or whatever.
John, he's making fun of. He's like, fucking John. I looked
John Starks.
That dude never had more than 15 points in the season. What is wrong with you, dude?
Yeah, but he threw it down on Jordan.
About the '90s Knicks.
Yeah, he threw it down on Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant at the same time. So he was my favorite player. So was Sean Kemp.
Sorry, man. Sean Kemp, when I get that, because he was the Rain Man. That dude could dunk. Then he turned into a 3-point shooter. He was spreading his seed all over the world. I mean, he was, in our time, like what you would dream a superstar was supposed to be, even minus winning any championships and even with some pretty decent teams, never really being that relevant on those Sonics teams. And even when he went to the Trailblazers and later in his career, he went somewhere even fatter and worse. And I still, and he could be an MVP this season.
I got to see him play live on that Trailblazers team in high school. We went to a Spurs game, me and some guys from high school. And he was my favorite player, and he was just a fat ass. And that team was so loaded, like Scottie Pippen, Damon Stoudemire, Sean Kemp. I mean, or Dinas Sabonis, Detlef Schrempf, all those guys that they had, they were loaded.
Yeah, those were some fun teams, man. The problem was by the time that team got all those guys, there was some guys too far at the end. It was just even like when Mailman and Peyton and all those guys joined the
Lakers. On the Lakers, yeah,
they were just
already
too many guys too far past their prime. When that was the only thing that made them really good was having like a young Gasol on that team. And then as soon as those guys were gone, you realize how big of a freak Gasol and a couple of those other guys are. And if you would have got rid of the 40-year-old Mailman and a 37-year-old Peyton the year before, you might have been relevant quicker. But you chase, you do what the Lakers did this year by bringing 40 or 8 40-year-olds together, thinking, man, these guys all were the best players in the NBA at one point 13 or 14 years ago. And I think if we bring it together, they could do it again, even though most of them were some of the best eye players in basketball. So
that roster, Damon Stoudemire, Rasheed Wallace, Scottie Pippen, Jermaine O'Neal was on that team.
Young Jermaine O'Neal. That's what made him. He probably would have been so better if he would have never been part of that team.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple more. Do we want to save them for the next round?
We can try one more here, and then we'll probably call this the end of this session and start session 2.
Okay. We got another NBA player on the thing. Let me get my timer going here. 30 seconds on the clock. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. This is not a current player. He went to college in Alabama. He was selected 24th in the 1992 NBA draft by the Warriors. He's a shooting guard and also a small forward. He wore number 15 and number 8. He played for the Warriors, Knicks, and T-Wolves. He was a 4-time NBA All-Star.
Latrell Sprewell.
Yep.
I was going to say that too before, but as soon as you said the teams he played on, I was pretty certain.
And my next quote would have definitely given away. He was suspended in 1997 for 68 games.
For punching his coach.
For choking his coach.
That's right. I was close. Come on, man.
He also got in some other fights I was reading about, like in the locker room with players, and told him he was going to bring a gun and fucking kill him.
Oh, yeah, I read that one too. There was another, who was that? Because somebody choked him out or hit him or something, and he said that. There was another player that recently said
I saw that.
Somebody else that. I can't remember who the player he told.
It was
Elijah.
Hakeem Olajuwon. Yeah, it was some dude from the Rockets.
Who was it? God damn, it was somebody that was fairly relevant.
I looked it up as Vernon Maxwell. I have the quote here.
I was saying that right when we got cut off, and I think I'm going to go back and listen and see if it stuck. I think it stuck on the audio, but I did say it was Maxwell right at the end. I had a whole little thing about that little tiny dude would have got rocked.
Yeah, Olajuwon was a big dude. So the quote from Vernon Maxwell, supposedly what happened was it all started when Maxwell started confronting his teammates following a poor first half showing by the Rockets. Apparently, Maxwell's fiery tirade did not sit well with Olajuwon, who in turn decided to slap the former right across his face. Vernon Maxwell said, "God damn, this motherfucker slapped the shit out of me. This motherfucker hit me so hard, man, he knocked me out of my chair. I jumped up, grabbed my chair, and throwed it at him."
You could have just said I threw it at him. You did that. No, that's fine.
No,
I know you're reading. I get it.
He said, "I throwed it at him." Motherfucker bust the glass in the locker room. Everybody running out. Police coming here with their guns drawn. Like, what the hell's going on in here? Maxwell then said,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at halftime of Maxwell then said he picked up a big piece of glass on the floor and he wanted to stab the shit out of him. Luckily, the police intervened quickly. "Damn, they got guns on me at a professional halftime, at a professional game," he said. "Things could have got much worse, but police had not been there on their toes." If you have any idea who about Vernon Maxwell is at the reputation he had, you know that he wasn't kidding here and that he was indeed serious about stabbing his superstar teammate. The pair eventually sorted things out and made amends. According to Maxwell, Olajuwon converted to Islam not long after the scary incident. And at that point, yeah, he was. After that, Hakeem became Muslim. Maxwell said he was so quiet, so humble. He wanted me to become Muslim. I couldn't do that, but he was a great teammate after that.
Yeah, I don't know if I would admit that. You know what I mean? Like, even if that, I'd admit everything about it other than I was going to stab him. Because you could have said, you made yourself sound kind of cool that you stood up to him, you kept going at him, or you could have just said, I was going to look around and grab anything to go at that motherfucker with. You didn't have to say the stab shit, because that makes you sound like a thug. Or
no, just
yeah,
sounds like he was going to kill him. He was going to kill him. He would play. I think it's funny that he slapped him, knocked him out of his chair.
That's what I said.
He throwed it at him.
Imagine that though. Even like he wasn't Shaq size, but I mean height wise, but he wasn't as big. But his hands were like,
huge. Yeah.
I couldn't him or like David Robinson or like the guys from my time, like the Ewings. I couldn't just imagine smack
that slap would hit you in the. It'd go from your Adam's apple to the top of your head.
So I said it might wrap around and hit you in your other ear. You know what I mean?
Just like
fucking a whip. Like fucking like
what happened? What
happened?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
there's a bunch of those guys from that era I would not have wanted to fight. No.
I wouldn't want to fight Dennis Rodman. I wouldn't want to fight Bill Laimbeer. Pretty much anybody from that Pistons team. I don't know.
Okay.
I do have.
So you have to pick when you have to fight one of the three. You either got to fight Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer, or Robert Parrish.
Robert Parrish.
Okay. Now, Rodman, Laimbeer, or Akeem Olajuwon. Actually, goddamn it, who was that one? There was that Thorpe or whatever. He was like he played for the Rockets and played for a bunch of people, and he used to be like he was a big stack dude, and he was always fighting everybody. Back in the 80s, they fought everybody, man.
Yeah, they didn't and they fouled hard. I don't know.
Okay, well, who would you? So
I'd rather fight Hakeem Olajuwon.
You have to make love.
I wouldn't fight.
Or you have to fight one. It's going to be Rodman and Laimbeer.
I'd have sex with Bill Laimbeer before.
Yeah, because you're not getting AIDS or like no diseases, right?
I wouldn't want to catch whatever Dennis Rodman had.
But see, you might fight him too. That's what's scary, man. Either way, that dude's making you bleed. So
yeah,
it's just where are you bleeding from with Rodman?
Yeah, you're gonna get old school monkeypox.
Now of those two, which do you want as your fucking teammate if you're going for a title? And I'm going back to Rodman.
Yeah, I'd take Rodman.
Of course, I don't know, man. It depends what your team is. Like if you have some pretty good rebounders and you need a dude that's, of course,
just think those two dudes were teammates at one time.
I know. Both those people just got in people's heads. Crazy.
I saw some quote from Isaiah Thomas yesterday that said that he shut Jordan down no problem, and if it wouldn't have been for hurting his wrist injury he had, that he would have never been worried about Jordan.
That Isaiah said that?
Yeah.
Isaiah's the best player in NBA history to Isaiah,
Yeah, to him.
Everybody else,
himself,
he's not even like me, he's not even in my top like 10 or like point guards even. I mean, players for sure, but he's not in my top 100 players of all time. I thought for his size and what he did, but I always thought it was that team around him. That team I bet they set 1,000 screens a game. There was no more hard screen set than that team or that 90s Trailblazers team that we talked about in last show. Could you imagine if fucking Curry played on either one of those teams? He would score 130 because he would get wide open shots.
Dude, yeah, he's already wide open now, but he'd be really wide open there.
Yeah, dude. Those guys' job was to get two dudes open on those teams that scored. Both of those, that Pistons team always had, and if not, they got their rebounds and scores. But if not, it was Isaiah either screening and getting him to the basket or getting him off the shot. I mean, that's what that offense was built on. It was real similar to that Trailblazers offense. I don't know what's going on here. Hopefully that's just, I don't know who's calling me here. I don't want to answer it because I don't think that I can hear it on the show.
Don't they know we're doing a live show right now?
913 number. I don't know who would be calling me.
Kansas City, bro.
I know. I don't know who would be calling me from Kansas City on a Sunday though. But I guess Kansas City is what. But not. I don't think the town or the Kansas City is going to be calling me itself.
That was your call up to the Royals, man. They were looking to bring you on, but
we need you.
Not now.
we've seen you with all your gear on, or we're getting
Yep.
like take our gear off. Your guys' show.
They're like, hey, your show
want it.
sucks. You
We don't
suck.
want you to wrap your show around this.
Well, the
didn't
the
need to go
Royals, I think, are
KC top and hat. I just happened to. I wanted to wear this hat earlier. Man, that was cool. I don't know if I can make myself disappear more often. But I wanted to wear this hat, and then I was just pulling shirts out, man, and just I thought this was less for Kansas City and more for me, Coach KC.
Yeah.
Is why I was.
Well, I'm
doing
wearing
that.
our sponsor shirt today.
Yeah, you did. I
see?
seen that. I should have. You didn't leave anything, Hawk, for me, and
No, I'll bring you a shirt next time, I guess. And
do
the
want to
Royals
thank
are,
Hawk
I
all
think,
of
are
them
a
for
sponsor
coming.
next week, right?
Yeah, they're going to be our sponsor next week. Yeah, we're going to start. We may own the Royals before too long. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're rough. They traded all. I did have a take on that really kind of pissed me off. I am a longtime Royals fan. They're in a rough spot right now. But there was some sports radio guy kicked to, and he's going off about all the trades we just made, and he was saying, "You thought you were going to get better by trading Whit Merrifield and by trading, everybody you traded. They traded everybody, Benatelli and anybody that was decent. They got rid of. No, that's dumping off your assets and starting over. The fact that a guy is on sports radio and he thought like they were doing this to fix it. No, they were dumping off what payroll they had left. So at least if we're going to go, you lose 100 games, we're going to lose 100 games only paying out 30 million instead of 60 or whatever their low payroll is. So
there's no more what show we used to local radio for Don and Mike with Bob and Bob. Oh, that's not still on, is it?
Are you talking about the local guys?
Bob Lutz
Bruce and Bob.
Who's the other guy?
It was Bruce.
Yeah,
and Bob. They split
Bruce
up
and
a long
Bob.
time
Yeah.
ago. Bruce still does a station like with some guy. He's over in Hutch now. And Bob and his son were doing one. Last time I turned it on, his son was doing it with another guy. So yeah, they're on the local station here, and it gets pretty bad. I think if we could clean up a little bit, get our act together, just watch local sports for a little bit, and like update on. I'm pretty decent at Big 12 and enough to talk about that. Especially if we pulled up a couple stories, but they're horrible. They do a show real similar to ours. So no. This is also, just for everybody listening and anybody that does watch and listen, this is still a lot of learning for us. We got TJ, if you do just join the second session of this, depending on how I post it, he's in New Mexico and I'm in Kansas, and I'm, pretty low in Kansas, but he's pretty low in New Mexico. So we're, 1,000 miles away from each other. I'm
5,000 feet higher than you two, guy. Almost 6,000.
I think I might be close to as high as you because
Well, elevation.
Okay, there we
elevation.
go. All right. No, this is a lot of technology coming together. We're learning. It's going to be different every week. I think it'll be some more games. I think TJ may have a couple more things we're going to do here today, but if it's hot button, or whatever, we'll probably talk about it. A lot of sports, a lot of just random news stories. Try to come up with, as especially we get closer to more elections and around election times, stories that maybe you and an uncle that used to be friends with you that's a liberal nut job, and now that you're just hardcore Republican, you can't talk to. Maybe you see two dudes that I'm a crazy liberal and he's a hardcore Republican, and we get along decent. We can come in the middle of the road and talk. I like this background. I'm impressed with it. When I look at it, so
that looks like I could look out my window and see that right now. I can see Durango, Colorado.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, that's basically what you've got to drive and see. I would have to drive 1,000 miles to see that, but
you would.
So, and going forward, if you watched the post or the show yesterday, you'll see probably within a couple weeks to months, TJ will probably be back in the studio more often. But if not, if he can't make it, I may do one of these with Conrad, which you don't know from this show yet, but I do the regular, those guys from Wichita show with, also does the Con AG show and OK Taco. And helps immensely with us getting all of this going. So as much as we're, Mexico and everybody thinks we're trying to break away, I appreciate everything that, those guys have done to help get us to this horrible broadcast that we're able to do for you. So
Yep, we do appreciate them.
We do. I don't
So I
appreciate them
have-
enough, I guess, but
I had one more that we were in the middle of before we got disconnected earlier.
well, I'm
Yes.
deciding. I think if I can do this, I'm gonna try to pull both shows together and edit that part out, so they won't know that.
So like it never happened, except
Yeah,
for we're
now
talking
I
about
have
it
to
right
go
now.
back and edit this part out too, so they don't know that happened. So I'm making this harder, but what do you got, buddy?
Okay. Current NFL player. You ready?
Current NFL player. Okay.
He went to college in Maryland. He was a fifth pick in 2015. Fifth round pick. So the 146th pick in 2015 to the Vikings. He plays for the Bills currently. He was a 2020 All-Pro. He led the league in 2020 in receptions and yards.
Diggs.
Who? Which one?
Fawn Diggs.
His brother. Yeah.
All right. I mean, his boy's on my team, so I knew that. But
my next quote was, "His brother plays for your team."
Yeah, I was gonna try to get it before that. I was gonna say if I got a question, that would be the one.
And then he had the famous reception to win the playoff game.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that, man, I'm a fantasy loser, which 2 weekends away starts my live fantasy drafts, which we might. I don't know. You have to see if you want to do something too, or we need to figure out between maybe the other guys on the other show and a couple of the listeners if we could just throw something together and all manage it. And
we should do an auto draft one.
Yeah, something
where there's
like that,
no advantage.
Yeah, there we go. I'm down with that. So we'll try to throw something together for that. Or, we're getting up to, I think we got 7 subscribers on YouTube. Maybe we'll try to start a YouTube fantasy league or something. So we'll figure something out with that. I guess I can't say out of date. I do still read a bunch, and I know my teams, and I know a bunch. I'm not near as educated in it as I was 10 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever, but I usually do. I usually do decent enough to think I'm going to be good, and then when my team sucks, I never get why. So
then you could just get mad about it.
Yeah, and I'm that guy still that plays. I do like 2 or 3 regular leagues, and then I'll do leading up to it. I'll do 4 or 5 fucking not auto draft, but where you just play against dudes online that randomly doing the same thing as me. So, what's the weather you said down there? It's like 130.
Feels like it.
Oh,
I was sitting in my truck yesterday and I put my I have this meter for reading temperature and stuff, and coming off the glass 130 degrees just because of the UV, because we're 6,500, 7,000 feet up.
Yeah, you're basically, if you were Superman, you'd be fucking charging up great though.
Yeah, I'd just be like, take me, son, charge me up. I do have one more story for you.
Okay, what do you got, man?
It's an older story, but I heard about this on Joe Rogan. Do you know who Jeremy Corbell is?
No, but who's this Joe Rogan you speak of? Is
Joe,
he
Rogan? He has a really it's a really niche podcast. Like it's underground. Like not very many people have heard of him. I just know it because like our podcast is kind of on.
We could help promote his show. Like if you ever wanted.
Yeah, I thought so.
So if you wanted,
if he ever wanted to,
this Joe Rogan. How do you say it again? Rogan.
You know that Seth Rogen guy? It's spelled like that, but they don't pronounce it. No, they're not related, and they don't pronounce it the same either.
Is he the guy that does the little fights on he calls the little fight shows, for the UFC, that little organization?
Oh, I think no, that's Bellator, and that's not him.
But he didn't.
You ever seen it?
From being that and then started. Okay.
No, because there was a show called Fear Factor.
I got Rogan. Okay, I got him. Who you talking? Who did you ask me if I know?
Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yes.
He's the guy with Bob Lazar who talks about aliens all the time.
Yeah.
And they were talking about a story that happened in Russia in 1989, September 27, 1989, some 300 miles from Moscow. And this town, there's no way I could say it. Voronezh. We're just going to call it Voronezh.
Okay.
Citizens of Voronezh reported a deep red ball around 10 feet in diameter landing in a park. It was not an optical illusion. Yeah, it was a real UFO. It was certainly a body flying in the sky. I thought I must be really tired, but this is coming from a cop, by the way. He said, I was certainly a body flying in the sky. I thought I must have been really tired, but I rubbed my eyes and it didn't go away. A hatch opened and out stepped a three-eyed creature that stood 9 feet tall and was dressed in silver overalls and bronze boots. It left the ship with a companion and a robot. After taking a triangle formation around the robot, what the fuck that means?
Like
the robot came to
get on each like spot.
I guess.
Yeah,
well, it just said one. I get that, yeah, but it didn't say three of
one robot.
Yeah, but it just said a hatch opened and out stepped a three-eyed creature. Not that three people did, but anyway.
Oh, what I'm saying, there was 3 people on scene that surrounded this creature. Is what I'm trying to explain.
Oh, I guess so.
They're taking point on it. One guy runs around beside him. Hey, you take left flank, right flank.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
The robot came to life.
I mean, not to get in a bad situation with you ever. If I ever say point, because you're gonna.
Well, just the way this reads, it doesn't sound like that.
All right.
That's when the stuff hit the fan. With a look, the boy became paralyzed. The alien disappeared briefly and returned with what looked like a gun and shot the boy, who disappeared. He reappeared later, and after the spacecraft had departed. Citizens of the town reported multiple sightings of the ship between September 23rd and September 27th, 1989. But when Soviet investigators came to the scene, their only abnormal finding was elevated levels of radioactive cesium-23, whatever that is. As for the children who witnessed the landing in the park, they were all separated. When asked to draw what they saw that day, they all drew a banana-shaped object that left behind in the sky and the sign of a letter X. The boy who was abducted could remember nothing about the craft. What's your thoughts on aliens? You believe in them or not?
I'm torn. I mean, I'm naive to think that we're the only thing that exists. I don't know. I don't know that if there is something like that, it's something way different or more evolved or less evolved or whatever.
I think we could spend a whole show talking about aliens, so maybe we should save our thoughts on aliens for another day. We can do
that. Yeah, I'm gonna struggle with it. I'm not a. If we'd have to have like a expert on, or you'd have to do some more stories and like maybe try to convince me. And maybe that's where I come to them. I mean, because I'm down. Like I've heard and seen enough stuff that I don't rule it out. But what I still think is, that it's. Yeah, I don't know. I think we've got so far as a civilization that to understand how fast and what you would have to do to travel through times, or like space time and all that. That's what I struggle with.
The way I think about it is, so you're talking about how much more advanced somebody would have to be than us to do that. Just think if you were to go back 300 years, so we're going back to like the 1700s or whatever, and you're showing somebody from the 1700s your cell phone, and you're like, this is how we talk to each other, or anything like that, and they're going to think, what the fuck?
Look how far other than we're getting to modern space travel, look how less far than we other than we're getting to Mars and dropping a thing on there, which we did 30 years ago, we did 50 years ago, we went to the moon,
but what I'm saying is, like,
look at it is, we've got some fucking badass satellites out there that can see pretty fucking far pretty fast, and if there was something out there, I would sure think, how far the hell do they have to be? Because they're saying that these satellites can see, or this new whatever it is, observatorium satellite they put up. They're
seeing galaxies, not planets, though, because they can't look in that far. But what I'm trying to say is, where we're at now, so if there's civilizations that are 1,000,000 years farther along than we are, or even 1,000 years, just think how much better along their technology could be than where we are at now. That's just what I'm saying.
I'm
More
with you.
advanced. But
I watched
we could do a whole show
SpaceX
about that.
Yeah, I watched SpaceX land and try to land like 14 times, and blow up their own helipad to, think
Yeah,
that
but
no,
in 1,000 years, just think where we could
I
be
know.
if the world's still here.
I'd like to go there and see if they're battery powered or gas powered still. And
They're
I'll bet
not.
it's
They're
not
they're
gas
gravity.
or like water or
They distort the gravity.
Man, now all right, we'll have to do another show on that.
That's we could talk about that forever. I could talk about that forever.
What else you got, man? Got any more googly story? I don't want to do that. You cannot minimize Zoom when you were recording in a meeting. Okay. I don't know.
We're still here.
No, I know. I don't know what it. I wasn't. It's been letting me jump all around the whole time. Then all of a sudden it tried to say it wouldn't. I watched the Cowboys game last night, and that was sad. But they're like that team, I don't know. I don't want to rant on that too. I think I'm gonna start my own little Cowboys podcast, or you can do it with me too. We can do a 15-minute me crying about the Cowboys. But man, it's just so sad because you watch like Mahomes, like they're right there every year, and that dude's out there playing with his new little weapons and a couple drives, and you watch. I mean, just so many quarterbacks. The superstar Deshaun Watson. No, that was pretty funny. But even like, of course, I know he can't play, so he should have played the whole game. Honestly, would have been. I think that would have been better to make him play with like 4-string backups and prove to me you're a $230 million quarterback or whatever.
Yeah.
But the
looks
Cowboys,
like Danucci did decent.
Yeah, I mean, they later on the second half they looked half decent against the worst, but they just didn't play nobody. I mean, like Dak doesn't even take the field. Like nobody in your line, no receivers, which we're trying to get new chemistry with new receivers, no running backs, no your defensive players don't play. I mean, they literally played no starters and hardly even like 2 or 3 rookies barely played. Like I don't get. We didn't win the Super Bowl. We haven't won the Super Bowl since 1995, and that's why we're in Royals stuff. Like at least they've won something more relevant, and like at least I know they're not going to win. It's easy to be a Royals fan right now. There's no expectations. You tune in to watch the other team hit a lot of home runs. It's fun. You get to know a bunch of young kids that in a couple of years are going to be playing for another team and going to be superstars. And the Cowboys. It's just sad, man. Like it's getting depressing. Like I am an all-time Cowboys fan. It's the only team I've ever gave a shit about. I mean, realistically, maybe Favre Green Bay the year they won the Super Bowl because the Cowboys were out, and I was always kind of a Favre guy. That might have been the one year I kind of pulled for another team, or there's been some times I've pulled against Tom Brady or somebody else. But I don't know, man. It's just sad. Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Well, I was just looking up. I got the box score pulled up here. Who's this? Jalen Tolbert from South Alabama.
Yeah, our receiver.
He got they threw the ball to him 7 times last night. Like he got the ball thrown to him more than anybody. He had 2 catches he had 2 catches for 10 yards. And then the next would have been Malik Davis from Florida. He got it thrown to him 4 times. But then I'm looking up.
You guys have like Noah Brown, who, he's a 7-year vet, and I know he's going to make the team, but he's never been a starter or a player, but he's going to be part of the equation this year. Why isn't he out there running routes and catching balls and doing prove he can be? I just don't get it,
Yeah. I looked on defense, Nashawn Wright from Oregon State. He must be pretty new. I don't know if he's a rookie or not, but he had 7 tackles and 7 solo tackles last night to lead the team.
That's what I'm saying. There was a bunch of guys
he must be pretty good.
There was a bunch of guys that played a bunch of minutes because they just, it's like
not good if he's a cornerback and he had the most tackles on the game.
Well, that's what it was though. They were, they made the of course, what's his name? Russell Wilson didn't play.
Did he play? He did play or didn't play?
He didn't. Not that I seen, but they had a couple of. They were kind of the same. They played more of their players than the Cowboys did, but no, we've been.
I saw something with him putting his helmet on, but I didn't know if it was for the game or not.
The Cowboys went against them in camp all week this week, so they did like that joined camp thing, and supposedly, like both offenses pretty much, I guess, looked pretty good, but the Cowboys, supposedly Dak looked, but Every year they look good. I mean, this is going to be the year.
That's all I had written down for players. I'll get some more as the week goes on.
We'll wrap it up. Appreciate everybody listening. Check us out. We're going to be all over the place. We're going to get better every week, different content. We kind of threw this together again to more testing for Zoom, see how the sound's going to be, all that. So we'll have a good show for you. I'll release the audio probably, maybe tonight, but probably tomorrow. Try to do it on Monday, and I'll play with the video here and release it tonight or tomorrow too.
And I'll have some news tomorrow that probably change the way things are going to be done here shortly. So
okay,
we'll know that answer tomorrow.
Yeah, and I don't know if how quick we'll reveal. Of course, as soon as your play, it kind of was revealed on the stuff that came out yesterday. That's where I tried to edit it into. It could have sounded like it was in the past, where you could have been telling any story. Is how I tried to do that to save face. So,
well, I don't know if anybody listen from my work, and we'll find out.
Exactly.
But yeah,
then whatever, they're going to know eventually. TJ's trying to come up with a nickname, so if you listen back to this, and you might give it 5 or 6 shows, listen back to some shows, see if we can come up with a nickname. He's jealous because I'm Coach Casey. I told him you can't nickname yourself, so we're going to come up with something for him. And TJ and the bear, or Casey, the coach and the bear. I don't know. I don't. We'll come up with something. So, all right,
buddy.
Now, it may